the persistent cycle of stress, anxiety, and trauma. Why healing often fails for years, countless individuals have sought relief from chronic stress, anxiety, and trauma, only to find themselves trapped in a relentless cycle of recurrence. The reason isn't a lack of effort, willpower, or even the right coping mechanisms. It's a fundamental layer of healing that's consistently overlooked. The author, B.D. Carmichael, observed this pattern firsthand while working with women at a large addiction recovery center. Despite diligent effort therapy, meditation, mindfulness, the same emotional and physical struggles persisted. The turning point came when Carmichael introduced a structured process, now called the Prayer of Freedom, which yielded breakthrough results in 87% of participants. This wasn't mere coping, it was genuine, lasting freedom from deeply entrenched patterns. The overlooked spiritual root, the key finding. The problem isn't solely psychological or physical. It lies in an underlying spiritual root, an unseen force shaping thoughts, emotions, and reactions. These spiritual laws operate regardless of belief, and once understood, explain why anxiety returns, trauma lingers, and emotional patterns remain unbroken. If a struggle repeats, it's not random, it's anchored. Real-world transformations, the author presents striking examples. Susan, who lived with rheumatoid arthritis for 20 years, found complete relief within a day after releasing suppressed grief tied to an old conflict. Medical tests confirmed the arthritis had vanished. Lenita, legally blind from past trauma, regained 20/20 vision almost instantly upon releasing the spiritual root of her condition. Ashley, abused as a child and medicated for severe anxiety and bipolar disorder, experienced a complete mental and emotional shift, allowing her psychiatrist to discontinue all medications. These transformations aren't anecdotal. They reflect a consistent pattern Carmichael has observed in thousands of cases. The mechanism of persistence, the core idea, is that every individual has an internal moral standard. When this standard is violated, either by one's own actions or the actions of others, a spiritual pathway opens, creating an anchor point for emotional and physical symptoms. This pathway remains open until addressed, ensuring the cycle repeats. Symptoms can be treated, but true relief requires closing the pathway and removing the root. The progression is predictable. A spiritual pathway opens due to a violation. A spiritual root forms, anchoring symptoms. Symptoms manifest as anxiety, trauma, pain, or depression. The path to lasting change, Carmichael argues that most healing approaches focus on the surface level, the body or the mind, while the deepest wounds reside in the spiritual layer. Healing this layer leads to a dissolution of symptoms not because of harder effort, but because the root cause is addressed. The author offers a step-by-step process, detailed in the book The Prayer of Freedom, which guides individuals through closing these pathways and releasing the underlying roots. The core message is that breakthrough isn't complicated. It simply happens on a deeper level than most realize. If 87% of women struggling with chronic conditions experienced freedom through this method, it suggests a viable path for others seeking lasting relief. The author invites readers to explore this approach and break free from the cycle of persistent suffering. Conclusion: the recurring nature of stress, anxiety, and trauma often stems from an overlooked spiritual root. By addressing this underlying layer, rather than just managing symptoms, lasting change is possible. A shift confirmed by real-world transformations and supported by a consistent pattern observed in thousands of cases.